Hi, hello and welcome to Simonson Farms. I'm Justin Simonson. Oh, looks like it's another shop day. That's too bad. We've still got the HC drills in the shop, so that's gonna last a little bit longer. Rats. No, there's still stuff to show here for a little bit. As far as other things going on in the farm, because there's actually other things going on the farm. I think we got some fuel delivered. We don't care about that so much. No, I'm mostly just saying that to prove that something else is going on. There's been lots of office work and stuff, but that's extra boring. No, we're thinking about getting out in the field, but I'm equal parts dreading and excited about that. So I think that's just life at this point. You want to go do stuff, but you don't really want to do it that badly. Farming is very much that. So we'll just look at drills. I've actually got something that's more interesting to talk about. We've got some before and after stuff. So we can kind of look at these packer gangs a little closer, see what some of the before and after is. Maybe you can, notice some of our improvements. Maybe I'll point them out. That's the fun with doing this stuff on the fly. Otherwise, yeah, we're just kind of fiddling around with these, to get them the way we want them. Get them updated enough in places so they're not just a terror to have in the field. You can, or anyone who is a farmer, they know, having a piece of equipment in the field that doesn't work, oh, it sucks. We have a few pieces of equipment that, they work good when they work, but keeping them working, that's the trouble. Or maybe something that we deal with a little more in this area, in this broad acre stuff, is cable hitches. Anyone who's ever run a cable hitch will tell you this: they work great until you get it somewhere that you need to get it out of, get it backed out of. Then you're stuck, because you can only go forward. Because have you ever tried to push a rope or a chain? It doesn't work. You can only pull. So it's little things like that. It's nice to have solid hitches, which these drills do have. They're more expensive, obviously, but there's other little things on these drills, and we'll get into those later, that make them nicer to run and operate when they're like that. But they aren't like that until we've actually worked our magic on them. So yeah, that's pretty much for right now. I guess let's look at packer gangs before and after. So starting off, we're on the back side of the drills again. As you can see, any flat surface that we find in the shop immediately gets filled full of stuff. I'm sure nobody else knows what that's like. So here we go. Brand new, well, restored, refurbished, renewed packer gangs on at least 2 drills. They look pretty good. And then we've got this one over here. We're almost there. There's still a few more left to go, but we ran out of welding materials again. Cover gas this time. More on that in videos to come. There's some hilarious math that I need to share. But as you can see, we've got, here's our division between drills. 1, 2. We've got a dead end of a shaft, and I guess you could call it a live end, but this end of the shaft has a nut on it, actually double nutted with a nut and jam nut. You tighten those down until you consider it good and tight, which usually requires somebody of considerable weight and girth like myself standing on a wrench, maybe even a cheater on a wrench, make sure that they're all good and tight. But we got our shiny new bearings put on, and then there's some other stuff we're going to point out here once I finish this little panning shot. I mean, they look pretty good. I mean, they could be better. Oh, again, dead end there. So let's look at the side with the bearings. We've got these square tubes that slide over the shaft. In fact, I might stand up and go grab one of those and demonstrate. But those ensure proper spacing, because we need these spaces to be correct. Because as we come out here, the bearings are semi-regularly spaced on these drills. There's 2 there. The middle gap is empty for the sprocket to drive the chain, and then there's 2 here on the end. I think I've pointed this out before. There's a lot of bearing surface on these drills. I mean, their own, or each individual drill is only 8 feet in width, and there's 4 of these bearings on each, so they're very rigid. And because of that rigidity, if those the spacings between everything aren't just right, those bearings don't, the bolts that crosses through doesn't work really well. And you really have to reef on stuff. And then there's the added fun that if you're cheated one way or another on your packers, it'll rub on the openers. You can really screw stuff up. So we're doing some fun stuff because we have these inner replacement bands on here. That means we've actually changed the diameter or the thickness on these drills. So instead of the thickness being like this, it's actually an 1/8 inch more. So that gap that was here closed by a 1/4 inch from before. So if you can see in there, there's a extra spacer that goes in between the packers that wasn't there before, to ensure that we have proper clearance for between the packer wheels and the openers, which means that those spacer tubes also change, because whatever distance that we add in here has to be subtracted in here. So fun little bits of simple addition and subtraction. It's simple, but like any fabrication project or carpentry project, you have to be aware of your measurements and clearances and where you can remove material, and if you add material, where to remove in order to make up for it or compensate. So if we look at this unfinished one, we've got the packer wheel here. We don't have its mate on, so we've got this spacer. Now it's just a piece of square tube. This is actually seamless square tube, which is really nice. It has really weird dimensions because this is an 1.25 inch shaft, square shaft, so it needs to have very nearly an 1.25 inch internal diameter. So this is like 1 5/8 with, what is that, 3/16 wall or something like that. I don't know. Somebody else can do the math for me and figure it out, or maybe I'll put it up in a post thing, or post video processing. I'm smart enough to maybe figure that out. At any rate, I mean, we get, or the one thing for this project, if the camera will focus, We get really good at welding. I think I've calculated on these yellow Packer wheels that they, what is it? Something like 30, no, that's not right. It's like 27.5 to 28 feet of weld. It doesn't sound quite right, but it's probably something really close to that. Darn near 30 feet of weld per Packer wheel. So, it's taken us nearly an hour to weld, or just to do all these welds per Packer wheel. That doesn't include any of the prep time or the time to set it up, get tack welds on, get the additional, or get the caps and bands put on, any of the fitment. So, I mean, there's a lot of them. 5 drills with 6 openers each, and 2 Packers per opener. That comes out to what? 12 per drill times 5 is 60. So, I mean, even these spacers, I mean, there's 12 per drill. That's a lot of time just cutting and cutting and cutting with the bandsaw. So, I mean, it's all just a bunch of work, bunch of time. And the reason we're doing it is so we don't have to pay for somebody else's time, because farmers work for free. Nobody else does. At any rate, I think I've rambled on long enough. Let's go to the next thing. All right, for a little bit of context here, this is what a set of Packer gangs on these HC drills looks like normally. This is pre-upgrades, pre-everything. We've got our old-fashioned cast iron bearing set up. We've got these guys. I haven't talked about these yet, but these are what are called straw pickers. So inside of these slots, this is what one side looks like. This is what the other side looks like. So one side's like this, one side's like that. Something like that. And there's supposed to be a stick in here with a spring that kind of, so as it comes around, it goes, or it follows the Packer wheel, and it's got a spring on it, so when it hits the ground, it retracts as it comes through, and that's supposed to help drag material through. I have never seen a set of drills, set of HC drills in this country set up with these straw pickers, because I expect that they don't work very well for us. I know where lots of the picker points are, but they're just simply not around. If I want to do a little bit of work, I can go down to our scrap pile and I can wrestle some up and to give an example. But one thing you can tell on this set of drills that we're going through, we're not putting these picker bodies back on. So we're just doing this piece of square shaft spacer all the way through. But yeah, there's really nothing to these. All in all, it's just a shaft with a number of wheels set upon it. And that's all the more there is. I mean, you can tell if you look here closely. Some of these are in just fantastic shape. That one's almost completely crushed. This one's broke completely open. I mean, it's quite a few of these are junk. The people that we bought this drill from, they basically set together this Packer gang as a as a spare. I mean, there's not enough good packers in it to use as a spare, but I mean, there's still some extras. You know, one more thing that I just noticed here is on, so this is one of the black painted packers, which are, they're a later built model. They have the round pipe for where the axle goes through, versus the yellow ones, which are, you know, a square. And the places where they meet, especially if those, or if the nut over here, if that's not tightened tightly enough, you get this, or there'll be this little opportunity for things to kind of walk like that, and they'll chew up that mating surface between the two, and well, essentially this gap keeps getting narrower and narrower as that wears away, and you know, causes alignment issues because you're changing the distance between bearings. You know, just that little bit of space being eroded, you know, that's a problem. So we've basically got this gang sitting here. We could rebuild it someday if we really wanted to, but in all honesty, well, we probably won't. There might come a time where we need a packer in some weird emergency, like we do whatever happened here, hit some gigantic rock and tear something up. I mean, that guy's dented really good there too. I mean, as you can see, it happens. There's a lot of rocks in the area, and that's something that can happen, but it is what it is. I mean, everybody should have to farm hard ground, right? For you non-farmers, hard ground is what we like to call rocks, or hard earth. It's a joke. But yeah, this is what they look like before. You know, the years that they've been run, the paint comes off, you know, leads to this fun kind of faded design, and then it's always bare metal. And I suspect these drills were stored outside quite frequently, as there are a number of wasps that have seemed to come out of hibernation in the shop, you know, which is always exciting in the middle of winter, having to deal with wasps and hornets. And then the other fun thing, what's that stuff? Here it is, the end of February in the state of Washington, and we've still got snow. Luckily, it's only in the places where the sun don't shine. Anyway, old and busted, and we've got some new hotness sitting in the shop, so that's the good thing. At any rate, that's what we've got going on right now. Or as you can see, there's still just a little bit of this left. We'll get that done hopefully over the next week. And then field work is right around the corner. The weather demands it. I'm watching weeds grow right now, and it's time to get out and spray a couple of things, yards especially, because I have to look at those all the time. But yeah, got some field scouting that's probably going to happen next week, so that'll be a fun change of pace. And then after that, it's some combination of spraying weeds out in fields, probably starting our fall or our spring tillage, which, like I said, it's only fun for probably the first hour, and then it gets old real fast after that. But again, that's farming, probably life for most everybody else. You know, the one benefit we get is that we get to change everything every few months or so. But yeah, appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. That's real nice of you. And, if you are watching, that does mean you know how the internet works. So use your manual manipulators, click and tap on some buttons. I might appreciate that. If you can think anybody who might like to learn about some of this, I know it's nothing too gravely interesting unless you're really into HC drills. I know there's a few people out there that like this, so that's heartening. There's a couple other neat ideas I have for looking into these a little more. But that's pretty much all I've got for right now. So, that's it for right now, because I've got to get back to work.